and Nigeria and Africa, you're also there. And so from February, it will be more of zonal interaction than one general interaction every month. So thank you very much. And then please, we need volunteers for our teen devotional. If you're very good with talking to teenagers, we have a devotional we write every morning for them. Please talk to Ayo or talk to Sheung. Sheung can put a link, details on the chat box, and you can talk to her. And if you have, you can teach teenagers, because from February we are hoping that we can also get some of our younger teenagers, into our meetings, so that they can be taught specialized stuff as we're growing as well. We believe that you're going to be indispensable to the problem of the world. I want you to know that what we're teaching this month is very strategic. See, one of the things I have learned, right, and you need to be careful of this year, is confusion, constipation of models. The challenge why many of us can't produce results is that you are listening to too many people, right? And so you're listening to Speaker A. He says that the way to breakthrough is to jump up. You listen to Speaker B. Says the way to breakthrough is to go to the in the middle to go to the stream and bath with Fanta. I saw that on social media in Nigeria this last week. Another person might say is to go and cut off somebody's head. All kinds of, and it's worse when all the speakers you're listening to mention the name of Jesus or mention the name of Prophet Muhammad. Is worse because there are so many models. There are models that have reduced God to money and then what you can buy. I mean, a classic example, you could literally see in the last 2 weeks on our here with, right? One of the things that can mess you up is not being comfortable with yourself, to trust your capacity to produce results. Life should not be as hard as we take it. You can attract your result. You can manifest what you want. I've literally practiced this. There are things that I have not seen physically, but I'm living in the reality of them. I can't share testimonies in the last 1 week. I was sharing one with my wife yesterday. Literally everything you need, you can manifest them. You can attract all the links you need into your life. I literally in the last 1 week, activated certain things and I saw the result. It's so clear. And this aligns with scriptures, is faith. You don't have to see it for you to live in it. You live in it for it to manifest into your life. And that is why today I have my brother in the building. Now, there are very few people who I call my brothers. And this particular person is one of the few, maybe outside of zeal, that I can have certain conversations with, that if you hear us have those conversations, you will assume that these guys they've lost their faith or they've lost their souls. All right. So we don't bring those conversations to the mainstream. We have it within ourselves because he understands the subject of the mind and ability to manifest and attract results, maybe more than anybody I know in Nigeria. And that's the truth. It's something he has dedicated his life to. So he's sending me materials. I'm sending him materials. I'm listening to something. I'm asking him, have you listened to this? Have you heard? What do you think about this? And we're talking through things. There is no subject we can't discuss, from scriptures to science, to neuroscience, to quantum physics, to all kinds of things that people are afraid to dare. So, House of Saviors, let's make welcome my brother, Bankole Williams. Some people call him Capo. Banky, you're welcome.
Hey, bro, how are you? Can you hear me?
Live and direct.
Fantastic, fantastic. So good to see you, man. Well done, well done, well done with the work that you're doing in House of Saviors. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk to you today. Please, can you just help me appreciate Praise for this amazing work that he does? It's not easy to just have a community of people that you consistently pour yourself into. I think that is such an incredible work. Praise, we honor you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being a blessing to every member of this community. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Yeah, I see all of y'all saying welcome or welcoming me in the comments. It's a pleasure to be here. right? One more time, thank you for having me. I want to guarantee you, I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Please let me know that my audio is good. I want to guarantee you that, we're going to learn something that will be truly, truly transformational. I see all of you in the comments. Modupe, thank you very much. F Young, Floxy, um, Toyo, Ebon, I see all of you. Okay, so today, I saw the flyer, Praise sent, a flyer saying, he would like me to speak about the laws of attraction. And as I was meditating and brooding and thinking about, how I would convey, my ideas and thoughts, what was impressed on my heart was to speak on how not to be a magnet, right? So today I will be speaking on what I call how not to be a magnet. Because for you to attract, then that means you are cognizant, you are mindful and aware of your capabilities and capacities to attract things in your direction. But I find that one of the reasons people struggle to produce certain kinds of results and manifest certain things in their lives is not just because of what they know, it's because of what they do not know that they do not know.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take that again. I find that one of the reasons people struggle to produce certain kinds of results in their lives, it's not just because of the presence of what they know, it's because of what they do not know, and they don't even realize that they do not know it. So I want to shine the spotlight on certain things that we may not be aware of, or certain things that we may not be mindful of, that ultimately get in the way of us being magnets, right? So I will be shining the spotlight on some of these things, and please permit me, I know that this may be a non, religious platform, but please, for the sake of this, please just permit me to also use scriptures, right, as a reference to help bring some kind of understanding to this very timely topic. So I want to start by asking a question, right? And you can respond to me in the comments as much as possible. I want this to be engaging, right? So please feel free to drop your responses to questions that I ask in the comments. Do you believe it is because it is real, or it is real because you believe? I want to ask you that question. Please let me know what you think. Do you believe things because it is real, or it is real because you believe? Right? Let me look up for your comments. What do you guys think? Right? Do you believe because it is real, or it is real because you believe? Don't worry, it's not a trick question. Just tell me, just tell me what you think. Efyong says it is real because you believe. Okbeoluwa says it is real because you believe, right? Ayo says, don't copy and paste what someone else is saying, right? I want you to say something that's authentic to you, right? Most people are saying it is real because you believe. Okay, tell me why. Why is it real because you believe? So you're telling me this microphone in front of me is real because I believe that it is real, right? Opelwa says our beliefs are powerful. Interesting, interesting. Any other person? Why did you choose the option that you chose? Right. Let me know in the comments. Right. Any other person? Why do you say it is real? Because we believe. Adam says it's I believe both, that both statements, are true. Fantastic. Bukola says, as I think and visualize, they become real. Elizabeth says, belief brings things into existence. Nancy says, it becomes real because I believe. Our beliefs become our reality. Kafilat says both are true, right? Opelua says the intangible creates right? The tangible, fantastic responses from you, right? I want to start with a study that was actually done. And if you know me, I like to delve, into the realm of science and also into the realm of spirituality, right? To just, explain certain concepts, that I always want people to understand. I want to talk about a study that was done, right? When they were trying to fully optimize, the realm of the unseen, which a number of people call the quantum realm. Now, before we had the understanding of the quantum realm, right? We believed so strongly that, it was just classical laws, right? Classical physics. And what were some of these laws? They were laws that people like Isaac Newton about, right? Isaac Newton observed one day, he was looking at an apple. Right. He was looking up to the sky, he saw an apple, and he saw how the apple fell to the ground. So there came about the law of gravity. So he saw how the apple fell to the ground, and he noticed that, the apple will always fall down to the larger body. So objects fall down to the larger body. So he gave birth to this law, or he discovered this law called the law of gravity. So some guys now began to study the quantum realm, which is the realm of the unseen. They wanted to see if smaller particles operated the same laws that operate, right, in the seen. So they wanted to see if in the unseen, subatomic particles operated the same laws as the law of gravity. So, in the unseen realm, we have electrons that orbit around, a nucleus. So the nucleus being the larger body. So they excited the electrons and they wanted to see if exciting the electrons will cause the electron to fall to the nucleus, which was the larger body. So they wanted to see if the classical laws that operate in the seen are the same laws that operate in the unseen. So they excited the electron and they noticed that it didn't fall like an apple will fall to the larger body. It felt like it was falling down a flight of stairs. So that got them very curious because they excited the electron, and then instead of the electron falling to the nucleus, it lost energy and then gained energy and lost energy and gained energy. So they observed that the laws in the quantum were a bit different from the laws in the classical. So they wanted to observe to understand what was happening. So they wanted to take a closer look to observe the electron. And then they observed certain interesting phenomena. The first thing they noticed was everywhere they looked for the electron, it was there. Quite mind-boggling, study. Everywhere they searched for that same electron, it was there. So if they looked up, the electron was there. If they looked down, the electron was there. If they looked right, it was there. Same electron. So it was weird. Like we want to observe to see what's happening with this thing. How come it's like it's moving with our eyes? Everywhere we pay attention to, it is there. Next thing they decided to do was, they wanted to study and measure certain things. And then they observed that when they turned their back on the electron that was a particle became a wave. So they noticed that it had two properties. It was either a particle or it was a wave. And what made it become wave was when they turned their back on it. So something tangible became intangible the minute they turned their back on it. The minute they gave it their attention, it moved from being a wave to being a particle. So the intangible became tangible the minute there was the presence of mind. So they observed that it was the presence of the human mind. In fact, it's been said that you cannot conduct a quantum experiment without the presence of the human mind. That's where the concept of mind over matter came from. So they observed that it was the presence of the human mind that was converting it from being a wave of possibilities into being tangibility. So it was the presence of human mind that converted the intangible into the tangible. It was the presence of the human mind that converted the possibility to actuality. So they found out that mind has an impact over matter. So these intangible qualities of the electron were made tangible because of the presence of the human mind. So it then suggests that our mind has impact over the tangible. So the question now is, if our observation, right? In fact, they said we live in a participatory universe, meaning that our consciousness participates in determining the destination of our outcomes. The mind, the presence of mind determines, we participate, our consciousness participates, right, with the world and with this universe in determining what becomes our results. So we live in a participatory universe. So the question is, if this, theory, principle works in the unseen with the small, the big question is, can this same principle work with the big? We've observed that it pulled something from the intangible, brought it and made it tangible in the realm of the unseen with the very small things. The question is, can that same theory apply with the big? Can it apply with your dreams? Can it apply with your hopes? Can that same principle be applicable to your aspirations? Can it bring those desires to manifestation in your life? Right? The answer to that question is most definitely it can. I think somebody's microphone is on. You might want to check to be sure that it's not you that I'm talking about. Right? So that principle definitely is one that can also, even if it applies in the small, the truth is it actually can apply with the big. So we're talking about being a magnet or magnetism, attracting things into our lives, right? How do we magnetic spectrum? Forms of light in that spectrum. Now,
I think it's breaking.
Bankole, you are freezing and you're breaking. I want to check your internet. It's all red from here. Okay. I'm sure Bankole will be back. It's the hazard of the internet in Nigeria. Okay. But I want to believe that we are understanding. It's laying a solid background. And I want to believe that it's going to do justice to this. But I want you to, start reflecting in your mind, how these things work, mind over matter, which aligns with as a think in his heart, so he is. That oftentimes what we attract into our life is a function of what we think. Unfortunately, many of the things we're thinking about is unconscious. And so when some people say that this is my life, the question I'm thinking is, how are you sure this is your life? Is this what you have been scripted to say? This is what you've been scripted to believe. And then it's producing a material equivalent in your life. Joe Dispenza will say that your personality will determine your personal reality, right? So a whole lot of people don't believe some of these things. Is Bankole back? Okay, Bankole is back. Yes, Banky?
Yeah, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I had to switch internet connections. So back to what I was saying. I was saying that for us to fully understand magnetism, it is important that we look at the electromagnetic spectrum, right? And these things, I'll simplify for you to understand. The electromagnetic spectrum is the spectrum of light and the spectrum of reality. So we have to be able to look at that spectrum to fully understand this concept of attraction, and magnetism. Now, in that electromagnetic spectrum, there are different forms of light, right? There are infrared rays, there are microwaves, right? There's visible light, there's ultraviolet rays, right? It's the spectrum of reality. Now, please do not just take my word for it. Please verify these things that I'm telling you. Can somebody just please Google, right, this information? What percentage of the electromagnetic spectrum do we humans perceive, right? What fraction, what percentage of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is the spectrum of light and reality, do we as humans perceive, right? Somebody says 0.0035%, right? Any other person, please let me know, right? What human beings perceive is visible light. So maybe what you want to also Google is what percentage of the electromagnetic spectrum is visible light. Percentage of the electromagnetic spectrum is visible light, right? It is definitely less. Someone says humans can perceive 0.0035% of this spectrum. So what we perceive with our senses is less than 1% of reality. If we are judging by just the seeing of the eyes, the hearing of the ears, the feeling of our senses,
Bankole is out again.
Internet in Nigeria, you need to help us today. Yeah, we can't afford to miss this. I think it's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think my internet has been going off and on. But I hope you can hear me now. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So back to what I was saying. I was saying that if we're judging by just the seeing of the eyes or what our senses can perceive, we are only perceiving a minute fraction of reality. There are layers of reality beyond what our senses can perceive. The things that you are wishing and praying for, could they reside in a layer of reality that is beyond what your senses can perceive? Could it be that that thing that you want to manifest, it exists in a layer of reality that is beyond what our senses can receive? One of the things that I always share is I strongly believe it says God has blessed us with all spiritual blessings. Where are they? In heavenly places. I do not believe that God is running helter-skelter trying to cater to everybody's needs. I believe that God resides in all existences. God resides in every single permutation. Before you could even think of that option, God resided in that option. So God has made provision for every single permutation. There is absolutely nothing that you need or will ever need that he has not already made provision for, but they exist where? In heavenly places. They exist in a layer of reality beyond what the five physical senses can perceive. So it is then our responsibility to be able to connect to that layer of reality where our dreams, hopes, and aspirations reside. Are we flowing? If you're getting me, if you're flowing me in the comments, just say Bankole, I'm flowing with you, right? Bankole, I'm flowing with you. So for us to be able to attract things, we must recognize that the things that we desire They already exist. They exist in a layer of reality beyond what our five physical senses can perceive. It is then our responsibility to be able to connect with that which God has already made provision for. Right? Do you understand? Yes, I see Efyong says I'm flowing. Modupe says flowing. Buki flowing. Fantastic. Good to know that we're flowing. It is our responsibility to be able to connect to that layer of reality that exists beyond. It says his divine power has given us all, not some things. It has given us all things that pertain unto life, living in this terrestrial plane and godliness. God has given us all things. The question is, if he has given us all things, why don't you have it right now? There's definitely a gap. There's definitely a gap. The question is, what information do we need to know to ensure that we fill that gap? Don't worry, I'm going to share with you, right? So we want to look at how well we magnetize or we attract these things that exist in that layer of reality beyond what our minds can perceive. How do we pull them down into our lives? How do we attract them? How do we become magnets? Now, if you look at a magnet, you will realize that magnets and what they magnetize are typically made of the same stuff. So magnets are made up of either iron, cobalt, nickel, or its derivatives. In the same vein, they magnetize those things. So in order to magnetize into your life what you want, you ought to be made of the same stuff of what you want. So, in order to magnetize the life that you want, you ought to be the life that you want. I was watching, the recording of Joe Dispenza that was shared, and he was saying some things that really, really align with some of the things I'm going to talk about today. He said, you need to be in order to have. You need to become that which you desire to experience in your life for you to experience it in your hands. You need to be made of the same stuff that you want to magnetize into your life. So it may not be physically present, but you must be it, become in order to have. Because God is more interested in who you become on the journey than the destination to what you want to have. Hear what I'm saying? God is more interested in who you are becoming on this journey. He wants you to evolve than putting that stuff in your hands. So it is about the journey of evolution, becoming that person that can have that thing. And this is one of the missing pieces that I see with a lot of people who want to attract things in their lives. They don't realize the importance of their own evolution. They don't realize that in order to have that thing, they need to change. And God is interested in that transformation that happens. That is what really excites him, that you are evolving on the journey to having.
Yes.
You heard Judy Spencer say. Yeah, you heard Judy Spencer say it, that you need to overcome, and then you become. It's a journey of evolving, a journey of becoming. And when you become, then you can attract, then you can pull those things into your life. If you look at even the life of Jesus Christ, right? If you look at his message, and if you look all through scriptures, he was about the journey of inner evolution. He was about the journey of inner transformation, right? He said, and there's so many references that prove this. He says you should not store up for yourself, treasures on earth, right? You should store them in heaven, right? It says where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. It was all about the evolution of the heart, right? The evolution of the heart. I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. It's about the evolution of your soul. It's about that journey of transformation of the soul. And when there is transformation of the soul, you will prosper in all things. It's a journey of change, right? A journey of transformation. He said, it is not what comes out of your mouth, right? That goes into your mouth that defiles you. It is what comes out of your mouth from your heart, right? That defiles you. So it's about the transformation and the changing of your heart, right? He spoke to the Pharisees. He said, woe to the Pharisees, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup, but the inside of the cup is left filthy with greed, and self. He said, the kingdom is not outside of you, the kingdom is in you. His message was primarily about your inner evolution, your inner transformation, because he recognizes that when that changes, when the status on the inside changes, everything on the outside starts to change. Everything on the outside starts to change, right? So God is more interested in your evolution on the journey than getting you to the destination, right? I find that a lot of people are mindless. They are mindless about, that inner change that they need to make. I find that a lot of people, right, need transformation of their souls, but they are not even aware. They are mindless of it. They will tell you, Bankole, I've done everything that there is to do. All these things that we teach, we've done it. But guess what? They are mindless of the fact that there is something that needs to be changed, right? They are mindless of the inner reality, yet they speak confidently from their limited state of ignorance. They are mindless of the current status of their inner reality, right? But they will speak confidently. They will tell you, I've meditated on the promise, right? I've affirmed, I've done it, and it's not working. They don't realize that when they are telling you it's not working, that's also an affirmation that they are making. They are mindless of the status of the inner reality and the transformation that needs to occur, right? And they speak from their limited state of ignorance. Now, until there is a heart change, which is synonymous to a shift in the body, there is no real change. There's no real change. So what are some of the things that get in the way of us being magnets? What are these things? The first thing that I'd like to say is an unconverted heart loses its magnetism. Listen to me, guys. An unconverted heart loses its magnetism. There are people who are wishing and professing things that they want, but their hearts are far away. Their hearts are far away, right? Their hearts are far away. And I'm going to show you something in the book of Mark 4 that really, really just emphasizes this journey of manifestation. An unconverted heart, right, is what makes people lose their magnetism and their ability to attract things into their lives. An unconverted heart concerning what it is that he wants. So I can give you an example. 31st of December, we all were in, at various places of worship, and certain declarations were made, right? And our mouths made certain proclamations. We said amen, a loud amen to those things. But the question is, did your heart say amen with you? Is the status of your heart concerning that desire, is it in alignment or is it out of alignment? Because if it is out of alignment, I am telling you, people lose their capacity to magnetize those things into their lives because they are out of alignment. And this is one of the things that Jesus was very passionate about. In fact, the parable of the sower is called the parable of all parables, right? So Jesus in the parable of the sower in Mark 4, he was with the multitude. The multitude was with him, right? Praise, please let me know how much time I have so that I'm not mindless of it, right? So Jesus was with the multitude, right? And he told a parable, right? And guess what? He told the multitude a parable but he did not tell the multitude the explanation of the parable. Now, in Mark 4, verse 10, it says, "And when he was alone, they that were with him, with the 12, asked him of the parable." So the multitude left, right? And it doesn't say the disciples. It says they that were alone with him, with the disciples, inquired of him, asked him of the parable. And the next thing that Jesus says gets my attention. He says, "And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God." Oh my goodness. Unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom. I really want to know who he was speaking to. My question to you is, who was he saying unto them is given to know the keys of the kingdom? He wasn't just speaking to the disciples. The previous verse says, "And when he was alone, they that were with him, with the disciples." So there is something about aloneness with him, not just aloneness with him, aloneness with him seeking, because these people were seeking the answer to the parable. And he said, those who will stay back and spend time and be alone with him, right? And be in a state of curiosity, inquiring and seeking, unto those people it is given, not unto everybody, unto those people it is given to know the keys of the kingdom of God. So there is a place for aloneness, away from the multitude, away from all the distractions, away from, all the things that are vying for your attention, where you are just with him and you are seeking. Unto people like that, it is given to unlock the mysteries of the kingdom. And interestingly, he now says, "But unto them that are without," who are those without? And who are those within? Those who are without are those who don't spend time alone with him, seeking. Unto them who are without, all these things are done in parables. So to the multitude, it was a parable. But to those who spent time alone with him seeking, they were able to demystify the mysteries of the kingdom. So in this journey of manifestation, of magnetism, of being able to produce certain kinds of results, there is a place for isolation. There is a place for going in for direction. There is a place for seeking answers alone with him. Because like Praise said earlier on, see, you will go online, multiple people will give you multiple directions, but true direction for the cause of your life resides on the inside of you. Confirmation is on the outside. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? The true direction for your life resides within you, in that place of quiet stillness, in that place of aloneness. Can you receive, the inspired thought on the next step that you need to take in the direction of your own life? The truth is, multiple people will say, different things, but the real compass for your life is on the inside of you. When you are alone with him and you are seeking, away from distractions, away from, all the things that are trying to vie and pull for your attention, there will be demystifying of mysteries. Now watch this. It says, "Unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables." What does that mean? What does it mean for for these things to be done in parables. Things will happen to people and they will not be able to explain the science to how they achieve that result. So they will not even be able to replicate that particular outcome. It will be a mystery. You will ask them, how did this thing happen? I don't know. I cannot even, it will be a parable. I don't even know how it happened though. I was just there, somehow, it happened. They cannot replicate it because they don't understand the principle to produce that result. So they are relying on the basis of chance. They are not relying on something solid that is replicable. They are not relying on a law, right? It's just by, it's just by chance. It's unto them, it is a parable. But for those who spend time alone, seeking, asking questions, recognizing that the kingdom is on the inside of them, those people, they will receive inspiration. They will receive divine instructions. They will receive a nudging to go to a particular place at a particular time. They will receive a nudging to call somebody. There would be that still small voice on the inside that nudges them to be a blessing to somebody. And in doing so, they would find themselves in the right place at the right time. Why? Because they understand that the principle is aloneness with him. The principle of isolation. Do you know it says in scripture, as it was customary of Jesus, he will go out a great hour before it is daylight. It was his custom to be alone. Isolation was his tradition. My question to you, is isolation your tradition if you really want to get direction for your life? And this, when I got the deep understanding of this scripture, it transformed my life. Look at the next verse. It says that seeing they may see and not perceive. So those who are without, they see but they don't perceive. Right? They see with the natural eyes. They see, visible light. That's 0.00%. But there are layers of reality beyond the 0.00% that they will not perceive. They don't have the capacity to see what is unseen. They don't they don't have the capacity to see that I am abundant even though my bank account is saying that I have 10,000 naira in it. They don't see the layers of reality beyond the material. Right? Unto them that are without, seeing they may see, but they don't perceive. They don't have a deeper layer of understanding, right? Hearing they may hear, but they do not understand. Lest at any time they should be converted and their sins be forgiven. Oh my goodness. So there is a connection between conversion and this principle. There is a connection between forgiveness of sins and this principle. So the people who are without, the reason they are not being converted is because they are not applying this particular principle of aloneness with him seeking. I didn't see it now. That's what's written here. So the multitude are in the dark because they don't have a practice of aloneness with him seeking. And then he proceeds to tell them, this parable. He says, and he said unto them, know ye not this parable? And how will ye know all parables? Guys, if you get this, you've gotten it all. If you get this, I'm just telling you what he said. He says, know ye not this parable? If you don't understand this, how do you understand all? So meaning that if you understand this, you can understand all. Guys, are you flowing? Are you with me? Let me know if you're with me, right? This is the parable of parables, right? The parable of parables. So 14, he says, The sower soweth the word, the promise, what you are believing for. The sower soweth the word. And it says, and these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown, but when they heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. How is it that I give you something precious and you lose it immediately? You see, I'm one of those people, when I read scriptures, I believe that the scriptures are an invitation to ask questions. So I'm one of those, I ask questions. I'm like, how is it that the devil, you got something and instantaneously the devil came and stole it away from you? Says, be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, comes, like a roaring lion seeking whom to devour, right? He's prowling, looking around for people who are absent-minded so that he can take away. He's looking for people who are not conscious. And in that state of you not being conscious, you are prone to his attack. Because how is it that immediately the seed was sown, it was taken away from there? There is a place for consciousness that ensures that the devourer does not take away. It's a place for awareness, for alertness. I mean alertness, I mean awareness, spiritual awareness that you have received a seed that the enemy would want to attack, right? So these ones fell by the wayside and the enemy came and he took it. Now take note that these ones only heard, right? They only heard. It says they heard and Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. Now 16, it says, and these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who when they heard the word immediately receive it with gladness. Right. So they hear the word and they're excited, immediately they're excited. And there's the excitement. Now, how many of you have received a prophecy, a prophetic declaration over your life that was so accurate, and then there was instantaneous excitement about it? The question is, did you go back to meditate on those words 1 week down the line? Right. 2 weeks down the line, did you go back to meditate on those words? 3 months down the line, are you still cognizant of those things that were declared over you? But I find that there is the excitement that people have when, a declaration is made or when there's a promise of positivity or something changing. But that declaration is not sustained over a period of time. Why? It says, and have no root in themselves. So they had no roots, and that's why, right, they lost it. So they were excited, but they did not translate that excitement to them having roots in themselves. And it says, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. Guys, this is so powerful. And this is how you know you are not yet at the point of magnetism. Listen to me. It says, and have no root in themselves and endure for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the sake of the word. Guys, affliction comes for the sake of the promise. Listen to me. It is proof that you have a promise. When you've just finished praying for something and you walk into life and something contrary to what you have prayed for shows up in your life, it is proof that there is a promise, because it comes for the sake of the promise. You will be tested to prove that you are in a status of faith. Something contrary will show up. Has that ever happened to you before? Right? You just finished an amazing session of worship and then you go to your phone and you receive a message that contradicts that which you are praying for. Has that happened to anybody here before? Please let me know in the comments. Contradicts, Right now, listen to what it says. It says, the affliction comes for the sake of the word, and immediately they are offended. How you know that you are not yet there is your spontaneous, instantaneous response in the face of a contrary situation. Oh my goodness. I hope you got this. How you know that you are not yet at the point of magnetism is your spontaneous, instantaneous response in the face of a contrary situation. That's how you know. When something that is opposite to what you are believing shows up, the way you respond immediately, take note of what it says. It says, it arises for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. I'm not talking about how you react after a period of time. I am saying your default, spontaneous, automated response in the face of opposition, in the face of something contrary to that promise, your instantaneous response is proof as to whether you are in a status of faith or whether your heart is not yet fully converted. Guys, are you getting this thing? Are you getting this thing? You're believing God for a healing, and then you go to the hospital, and then the doctor gives you contrary news from what you are believing for. In fact, now they're telling you that the symptoms have increased in comparison to the healing that you have believed for. In that moment that you are hearing the news, your spontaneous, instantaneous reaction, and when I mean reaction, God judges the hearts. So the way, what shows up in your hearts in that moment is proof as to the status of your heart. It is proof as to the level of magnetism that you are operating in for the things that you want. And if we are honest with ourselves, a number of times in those moments, how we show up in the face of opposition may not necessarily be in alignment with what we have been praying for. When life squeezes you, what shows up? Can I ask you a question? If we squeeze an orange, what will show up? Orange juice, yeah? If we squeeze pineapples, what will show up? Pineapple juice. If we squeeze oranges, would we get carrots? The answer is no. So when life squeezes you, what comes out of you? And I am saying, immediately life squeezes you, what is the thing that comes out of the abundance of your heart through your mouth? It says immediately they are offended. Immediately there is a shift in the status of their hearts. And I'm telling you that this is what is stopping people from attracting what they want in their lives. They are not paying attention to the status of their hearts. And they are not paying, the heart is telling them, I need to be converted, but they are living in denial. They are telling you, no, I'm affirming. They're telling you, no, I'm applying this principle. See, how we will know the real content of your heart is under pressure. Pressure is a revealer. Pressure reveals the real status of your heart. It is not when things are going honky-dory. It's not when things are going the way you want. It's not when you've left the place of worship in that state of excitement. No, it is when the contrary shows up. It is showing up for the sake of the word. It is showing up to validate the fact that there is a promise. And your reaction is proof to you that there is conversion. And I'm telling you that there's so many people that I've seen who are mindless of the status of their hearts as regards the things that they're believing for. One prayer that I pray that you pray, let the words of my mouth and the silent meditations of my heart let them be acceptable. In the moments of absent-mindedness concerning my dreams, my hopes and aspirations, let the contemplations of my heart be acceptable. Let them be in alignment with your will. Pressure is a revealer. It's not just the content, it's not just the verbalization of your mouth, it is the vibration of your heart. Hear what I am saying, guys. It's not just the verbalization of your mouth, it is the vibration of your heart, because God resides in the unseen realm, and what he sees is the status of your heart. Are you with me? Please let me know if you are with me. Are you with me? Are you getting this thing? This is the work that our hearts get converted. Your lips can say something. The question is that what your heart is saying? Is that what your heart is saying? Is that really concerning what you are believing for? Is that what your heart is saying? And it's not even believing, it is that you already believe. Is that you recognize its existence in an unseen reality. I'm reminded of a time I was on a plane. Please let me know how much time I have so that I'm not sure I've seen that message from you, Praise. Right. I'm reminded of a time that I was on a plane, right? And there was turbulence. It was really, really bad, right? And the plane tilted 3 times. I'm not kidding, like not just turbulence, it tilted. On three occasions that happened. And, typical of, my people started shouting, screaming, Jesus, Jesus, there was turbulence on the plane. Everybody was everywhere. Right. And yeah, Praise, I've seen it. And I looked around and there was somebody seated adjacent to me, and this guy was sleeping. In fact, what woke him up was the screaming of people. Screaming. But he was cool like a cucumber. And I heard in my heart, Bankole, whose prayer do I answer? Is it the prayer of those who are screaming my name out of fear? Or is it this guy's prayer? And I looked at the guy and I thought, but this guy is not praying. And I realized that it wasn't just the verbalization of the mouth, but the vibration of the heart that was also a prayer. Guys, are you getting this thing? The job is to be converted in your hearts. It is organization before creation. The problem is people are creating from disorder. It is first organization before it says the preparation of the heart belongs to man. The answer of the tongue belongs to God. It is our responsibility to prepare the heart. And a lot of people are mindless of this, mindless of the inner dialogue that goes on behind the scenes that is ultimately determining what happens in front of you. Those vibrations that go on here concerning what you want is proof that is proof of your conversion or the absence of it. And this is the real work to convert your heart. Moving on. So 18, it says, and these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and then the cares of this world. They are distracted by the cares of this world. They're anxious about things of this world, the deceitfulness of riches. They are fixated on material things. And when I mean material things, it means that their attention is on tangibility. They set their affections on pedestrian things, whereas there is a realm beyond this realm that is realer than this tangible realm. And if you are cognizant of that realm, even if it does not shown in this physical realm, so long as you are cognizant of it in that intangible realm, mind over matter, so long as you remain mindful of it in the intangible realm, time is only going to play catch up. You will see it in the tangible. The deceitfulness of riches. Don't you get it? These material things, they are an illusion. What is real is what is in the unseen. This world is a projection from the unseen. So what you are considering to be tangible, in reality, from God's perspective, is just a projection from what he considers tangible. And what he considers tangible is the status of your heart in his unseen reality where he resides. Right? The lust of other things, being distracted by, other things. See, this year, this is not the year to chase many things, to be honest. There are things that are needful, right? Upon which other things will rest. If you are able to get your heart converted on that which is key, all other things shall be added. All other things. It says, seek ye first the kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom. Seek ye first the world that is on the inside. Obsess over the world that is on the inside. And all these other things. All these other things. What is the status of your heart? Are you moved by every wind? See something in a group, talking about something that's happening in some part of the world. Are you easily swayed by the different information that you see on social media? Your heart goes left, goes right, just moved by every wind of doctrine. Or have you set your sail and you're fixated, obsessing over the consciousness of what you want in an unseen reality? Right? And it says, the deceitfulness of riches and the lust of other things, entering in and choking, competing, choking, right, the word, and hence it becomes unfruitful. And these are they that are sown on good ground, right, such as hear the word and receive it. The word for receive here, right, the meaning of that word is to welcome and feel at and make feel at home. Right? In Greco-Roman times, the word there was used to describe the act of welcoming a stranger and making them feel at home. That the promise feels at home in your hearts. Oh my goodness. That the promise feels at home. It feels at home in your hearts. That thing that you have believed for, that it feels natural. It feels like it is normal. Right? It is normal for you. That status of abundance, that status of healing and wholeness, in spite of what the doctor's report says, that it feels at home in your heart. It is so authentic to you, so real and tangible to you, even though it hasn't physically manifested. You've embraced it not just with the hearing of the ears, but you've received it and welcomed it home. Now, it's normal for you to walk and talk and act like it is, because you recognize that it is in an unseen reality. Time is only going to play catch up to make it manifest in the scene. Something contrary shows up, but it still feels comfortable, feels at home in your heart. Something contrary shows up, but your default response in the face of opposition is from a status of peace, because the promise feels at home in your heart. The doctor is giving you a contrary report to what you believe for, but in that moment, It's not his contrary report that sits at home in your heart. It is what you believe for and know that is real. Even though it exists in an intangible reality, you recognize that that is what is real. And as you do so, as you click on the inside, as you click, and sometimes it takes time to click, as you click on the inside, things begin to click on the outside. As you click, as above, so below, as within, so without, as it becomes normal on the inside, the forces of this world now begin to align and make things happen. Ensure that you find yourself in the right place. You find yourself at the right time with the right people, where time and chance would collide in your favor. But what you did not realize was you had already embraced it on the inside. And now that which you've embraced on the inside is sending out a signal to this world to attract, to bring situations that will lead to the manifestation of that which you've seen on the inside. Let me tell you how these things happen, right? How they begin to happen. When you click on the inside, when your thoughts and your emotions cause you to enter a state of being, a state of consistent consciousness of that which you believe for. And that's how you walk through life, even in the face of something contrary to what you believe for showing up. And when we check the status of your heart, all we find there is peace. All we find there might be crisis on the outside, but that crisis doesn't change the status on the inside. The status of the inside is now what begins to culture what happens on the outside. When you get to that point concerning what you believe, what you do not realize is in an unseen reality, you are sending out a signal to this world that is not limited by time and space, right? Because we all have electromagnetic signals that we give. We all have the capacities to be magnets. The heart has the capacity to magnetize. The thoughts are electric. Your emotions are magnetic. With thinking and feeling and entering that state of consciousness of that which you believe, you send a signal to this world that's not limited by time and space. Now, that signal that's not limited by time and space goes out into this world and is not limited. So somebody who is supposed to be, call it a destiny helper, right? All of a sudden feels a frustration about a problem that they've always had. They've had it for a while, but they feel a need to fix that problem for reasons that they cannot explain. And they wake up that morning and they're like, I have to fix this thing today. There's an obsession with that problem. And then they call somebody, who does not know you. But guess what? That person will not pick. They call several times, that person doesn't pick. But there is an obsession with fixing that problem today. And then they remember some other person that knows you. And then they call that person. And on the first ring, they pick the call and they say, I know somebody that is a solution to this problem that you need. And then that person connects you with this person. Somehow, some way, time and chance collides, and it will ultimately lead to the manifestation of that outcome. And that's because now you are a magnet. You are sending signals to attract circumstances and situations that will ultimately lead to the manifestation of that outcome. Guys, this is the year to be a magnet. And to be a magnet, your heart has to be converted. For your heart to be converted, you need to learn to spend time alone with him, seeking. You need to learn to spend time alone, meditating on that promise, calling those things that be not as though they were, believing that that thing which you wish for is already yours, not that it will be, is already yours. And in the face of something contrary, catch yourself. Catch yourself. You may fall from grace. Catch yourself. Recalibrate and come back to center, to the point where you click on the inside. And when you click on the inside, you send the signal to this world that's not limited by time and space. It says the sower, right, sowed a seed right? Day and night he waketh up and he knoweth not how. You know not how it would happen, but time and chance will collide in your favor, and somehow, some way, you find yourself in the right place, and they would lead to the manifestation of that which you believe. And I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you on how not to be a magnet. I've been able to convince you to leave all those things that stop you from being a magnet in 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bankole. Please, can we celebrate him? Don't go yet. Does anybody have a question? Anybody? You have a question for him? Maybe we can take one or two questions. Ayo, can you ask them if anybody has a question? Yeah, you have to watch these and over and over again. Anybody with a question before we allow him go? Thank you very much, Banky, for doing justice to and for using examples that resonate with majority of the people on the call, because I know that quite a number of them read the Bible. Yeah, so thank you very much. Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, Banky, I'm going to ask a question. I think before you started, part of the things I had mentioned was people. Okay, I think Effiong has raised his hand, so Effiong will ask his question after me. People are kind of associated with other people without knowing that those other people are other energies that can drain. So someone is saying, I want to manifest wealth this year, but the person is listening to demon from your father's house, demon from your mother's house, demon from and is joining. Oh, they want to kill me. All the people that want to kill me, let them How does this intermingling with different energies affect people's ability to attract the result and then manifest the outcome they want?
Beautiful question. You see, we need to be mindful of attachments, right? And when I say attachments, I say we can only attach to these three things: bodies, the environment, which is made up of people, places, things, and time. We need to be very careful, of attachment. In fact, someone says that, attach is the root of all suffering. Attachment is the root of all suffering. Now, you need to be very cognizant and mindful of what you plug yourself into, right? And we plug ourselves into people, places, time, things like that. So if you are connected with someone, there is an energetic connection there. Listen to me. We don't only exist physically, we exist energetically, right? And when you share a relationship with somebody, there is an energetic connection that you have there. Even though you don't see it, right? There is a connection. So it is important to be mindful of the places that you put yourself in, because by being in that place, being in that space, being connected with those people, you share energy, whether you are trying to or not. So it's important to be mindful. Let me ask you a question, guys. Have you ever caught yourself speaking to a Caucasian, a white person, and then you notice your own accent changed? Anybody ever noticed that? Now, did you notice that you did not determine consciously that you were going to switch your accent? You just caught yourself. So without trying to copy, you copied. Without intending to copy, you copied. So when you find yourself in environments that are cognizant of negativity, right, you attract that kind of energy into your space, right? See, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Your energy is your vital life force. So if you consistently attend to people who are negative, you attract negative energy in your direction because your attention has gone in the direction of negativity, right? So that is one of the reasons why I am careful with what I am cognizant of. You know, if a place is always cognizant of enemies, right? If that's the what makes up consistently the conversation in that space, and that's what we are always giving our attention, right? And our energy, because once your attention goes there, your energy goes there, right? You need to be careful. You need to be careful of such spaces, right? You want to attend to the things that it says, whatsoever things are lofty, whatsoever things are lovely, if there be any good reports, all those things, think on those things. That's where we should place our attention. So the principle here is very simple. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. If you attend to negativity, your energy goes in the direction of negativity, and that is your magnetic force energy that's going in that direction to bring more circumstances and situations that align with what you're focused on. Yeah.
Thank you, Banky. I think Effiong is raising his hand.
Toyo as well.
And Toyo as well.
Toyo, you can go ahead. Then Effiong. Toyo, please unmute.
Thank you so much. What a great session. So I just wanted to ask for tips and, that's helpful when you're meditating or, practicing that being alone. Of course, we pray, and I've come across something called soaking, where some people just, play calm worship music in the background and mull over maybe things God is telling them or something they've heard from somewhere. Some people might have challenges like, being on their own and looking inwards. Maybe you don't like something, or it's a bit scary to look long inside. So do you have any recommendations for dealing with that time of introspection and being able to get the best out of it, since it is our life source? Thank you.
Yeah. So meditation is a practice that I don't think should be taken lightly. I think that as even just seeing, through this scripture, it's definitely necessary and important for our evolution. You see, I find that a lot of people do not want to look inwards because they say, I don't know what I will see. See, let me tell you, this is a fact of life. What you don't attend to will attend to you. This is a fact of life, right? So, and there are things that are attending to people because they do not attend to them. See, I am so passionate about this message, health, wholeness. I've seen people struggle. I've seen people die of cancers and things like that. Good people. Good people. I was speaking to a friend of mine who was telling me about her mom. Her mom passed some years back. Her mom was not just a missionary. Her mom financed some of the biggest ministries and missionaries that exist. You don't know her, right? She's a behind the scenes person. So such a good person behind the scenes, right? Funding good causes, all that. And as I was having this conversation with her, she said to me, I know what killed my mom. She said, my mom, in as much as she denied it, dealt with offense. And she was telling me about how there were times where she funded different projects and the funds were misappropriated, right? And those things really hurt her. And she saw how her mom never really got past that hurt. And she knows that it is from that place of holding back, or not owning the reality of what she was feeling and dealing with it. It was from that place that she knows that cancer came from offense. And you see, there are people who will say they are not offended, but their lips are saying one thing, the heart is saying something totally different. I've seen this, even with, I'm also speaking of my own self, that I would say I know I've resolved this thing, but in my place of silence, I feel the heat in my chest, right? My body is telling me that there is something that is here that is unresolved. So the first thing is to recognize that it is wisdom to go in, right? It is wisdom. You cannot function as your optimal self if we don't convert the hearts. You cannot. You may function and say, it's working for me, but you cannot function as your optimal self. The heart is not converted. And there's no difference between the heart and the body, right? So the body is just the externalization of the internalizations of the heart, right? So the body will always express, right, in one form of ailment or tension in the body or the other, right? So to answer your question, so the first thing, like I said, acknowledge that it's a good thing to go inwards. The wise man's eyes are in his head. That's what it says. The foolish man's eyes are on the ends of the earth. So it's a wisdom to direct your consciousness inwards. Now, when directing your consciousness inwards, right, there are three things that we do. Number one is we practice being still with no form of judgment, right? Learn to practice being silent. Silence is one of the languages of God, by the way, right? Learn to practice being silent with no form of judgment. The problem is that we judge ourselves for not being silent in the practice of silence. I hope somebody got that. The problem is we judge ourselves for not being silent in the practice of silence. For goodness sakes, this is something that is new. You haven't been doing this all your life. So I don't expect that you will perfect it the first few times you do it. So your mind will drift and go in random directions. Catch it. Bring your mind back to being present in the moment without judging yourself. Why did I drift? What's wrong with me? What is wrong with you is that you are holding the thought of what is wrong with you. That is what is wrong with you. So don't judge yourself for drifting, right? Practice being silent. Start with 5 minutes. Increase it to 15 minutes, right? In that place of silence, oh my goodness, there's the opportunity to connect. It says, be still and know that I am God. There's the opportunity to connect with him. So I would say line upon line, precept upon precept, one day at a time. Don't judge yourself. Practice being still. And the more you do it, the better you become at it, right? And remember, it's stillness without judgment. There are two other ways, but because of time, I think let's just leave it at the practice of stillness. Yeah.
Okay, Effiong, your hands are up. Are you still asking your question? I think there is a Wura's.
Okay, yeah, I was muted, so I couldn't speak. Thank you very much, Praise. Thank you so much, Mr. Banks, for this fantastic session. So I know I've been following you for a very long time. So, and I'll still follow you definitely, because I know you teach some very fantastic things, and I'm interested in the things that you're interested in. So, for instance, I know you've taught a lot about visualization, you've taught meditation, you've done vision boards, and I've also seen that you use vision boards a lot, and most times you've shared a few times how you manifested those things. So I would like to know, because I have a client that said her daughter did this vision board and she looked at it just twice She didn't, all through the year, in one full year, she just looked at it twice and she manifested every single thing. It's not like she was going about trying to manifest them, but they just turned out perfect. Everything on her vision board came to pass without her struggling, without her. So the mom was telling me, and I was asking her, I said, ask her how she did it, because I'm interested in hearing this. And I've heard a lot about different people doing it different ways. I know people that look at it every day. They do what you teach us, like look at these things and then imagine yourself experiencing these things, have those emotions that you will have if you've attained those things and all that. But this, her own story was different. She just looked at those things 2 times and she did not even do all these things, yet she manifested it. So I'd like to know how that could have been possible, and if there is something that is behind that kind of energy that brings about those kind of things in that kind of fashion, not like the one that we already know that includes lots of effort and those kind of things. So that's why I want to ask. I don't know if you got my question, Mr. Banks.
Yeah, I got a question. I was going to say that even me, I would love to know
Okay.
how she looked at it. But let me respond. How should, my point being, I actually think that you should ask them this question also, because all I'm going to be responding to are just probabilities, because I don't know exactly what's happened in that situation, but I'll tell you some of the possible things that may have happened. I think what matters, no, I know what matters is not the vision board on your wall. What really matters is the vision board in your head. What really matters is the tape that is playing in here. So I also know of people, and some of you know what I'm talking about, who have had vision boards and different things on their boards, and those things did not happen. Some of you know what I'm talking about. So it's one thing to have something extrinsic on the outside. It's another thing to have something that's intrinsic on the inside. So she may have looked at it twice, but the question is, what was the vision board on the inside? What was the image that concerning what she wanted to manifest in here, right? What was in fact, I think this is even what is most important. What was her state of consciousness, right? In the how many months it took her to produce that outcome, where was she concerning that thing? Adam fell, right? And the all-knowing God said, where are you? Like, what are you talking? As in, you say God is all-knowing, Nabi. So why is he asking him where he is? So it then suggests to you that it wasn't about a physical location, because he put him in the garden. Where else would he have been? It wasn't about a physical location. It was about a location of his consciousness. His consciousness fell. His consciousness shifted from all that existed on the inside to what existed outside, right? So it's about your consciousness. So all those things we do, whether it's vision boards, taking yourself out to a place that is synonymous with what your dream looks like, all those extrinsic things that we do, right? We are doing that to shift our consciousness, right? Now, once your consciousness is fully cognizant of what you want, right? And that's where you live, that's where you are, then things begin to happen, right? That will lead to you having that thing that you have believed for. So in all honesty, I don't know what exactly she was doing externally, but if really and truly she produced those outcomes, she was in a state of alignment for the things that she wanted. It was either of two things. Mercy, which sometimes happens. God just has mercy and is kind, right? Or she was in a state of faith, state of alignment with what she believed for, right? And that status of faith and alignment with what she believed for caused things to align on the outside and ultimately led to manifestations of those things. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Banky. In addition to what you've said before I take the final question, it could also be, oftentimes we don't know what people have, what they've done to themselves before. So, I mean, it's like some of us who got saved. There was some guy who preached to us who thought it was a failure because we didn't respond to the call. We didn't want to listen to him. He thought it was a failure. Then some guy just came. He didn't even do anything. He didn't fast, didn't pray. He just spoke the word, and then somebody got saved. And the final guy thought that he was the one that produced any magic. No, it's an accumulation of a whole lot of things that has happened that led to that state at that point in time. So and I think as Africans, I want us to move away from they look at it twice, right? Because that is sounding more like God of instant noodles kind of thing, right? A lot of people produce miracles sometimes. It's a build-up that has taken, I mean, so if once faith wells up, and it gets to that state where it can be converted, things happen. And then you think that, oh, okay, so let me look at you can look at your vision board twice and nothing will happen. In fact, I'll tell a personal experience. So we have in our office, we have a corporate Bible, which chronicles our history from the time we started up until year 2040, right? And so we have milestones. So there is the milestone of 2020 to 2025, right? And so from the time we did it, when we are onboarding new staffs, we will take them through it. But I wasn't the one taking them through it. It was either the CEO or the CEO. I wasn't there. I'd not even looked at it since then. Fast forward last week, I think my laptop crashed, so it wasn't working. So I was checking my Google file and I saw it. So I decided to look at it, and I got to 2020 to 2025. And in there, part of what we're supposed to do was to move to the island and then to start offering franchising. I had not seen that document since then, but everything was in alignment, right? And that's why, if you have read Goals by Brian Tracy, it was saying that goals documented is better than the ones not documented, because there is the intensity of the emotions that is attached to at the time you were creating it, and it can produce this material effect in your life, even if you think you have consciously forgotten about it. I just wanted to add that. There's a final question on the chat box from Wura. It says, my apologies, I joined late. Would you say that as a collective in Nigeria, our focus on what is wrong and not working affects the reality that things remain or get even worse?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that this thing of consciousness that we talk about is personal, but it's also universal. There is what I call collective consciousness, right? And you see, God responds, not just God, the laws that he's instituted, they respond to consciousness. They respond to consciousness. It's a law, right? So whether it is personally or collectively, right? And see, there are even studies that have been done where they measure, for instance, the energy in a room, and then people are in an excited, positive state, right? And the measurements increases, the energy in the room shifts, and sometimes they have random event generators. Oh, my goodness. Random, so these are equipment that generate random selection of numbers, right? Now, when the collective elevates their energy and there is synchronicity, there's collective synchronicity, the random event generators start generating a fixed set of numbers. Random events start becoming less random. When it says where two of you shall agree as touching a thing, there is also a scientific ramification to it, in that the power of 2 or 3 people coming together and being in alignment and being in agreement makes random events become less random, produces a measure of intentionality to it. And you see, I find that in our country, there is a consciousness of problems. There is, just look at social media and see the kinds of conversations that happen. There's a consciousness of what is not working.
Yeah.
There's a consciousness of errors. And we find, they say misery likes company. So there's also some kind of joy we find in talking about our problems. And you find someone who has a similar problem, you find the community, and collectively, I believe that level of consciousness is creative. It's creative, right? It produces results. In fact, scientists have been looking for the largest units. They've been looking for the edge of the universe, and they've been looking for the smallest unit of smallness for years. Billions of dollars are invested in this every year, right? There are telescopes that are being built to see if we can see the end, as in the end of the universe. And there are microscopes. When I was in school, we were taught that it's a cell, smallest unit of life. Now they broke the cell, they see, molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons. They are looking now. They are quarks. There's an institute that has been set up. Billions of dollars goes into this study where they are smashing particles, because if you smash something, you believe it will break, because they want to see if there's anything smaller than that smaller particle, right? And it almost seems like the more they look, the more they see. It's almost as though the fact that they are looking with the expectation to see is what places something there for them to see. The fact that they are looking with the expectation to see is what places something for them to see. So consciousness is so creative that if we expect something and we're conscious of it, it places it there for us to see. Let alone when a collective group of people, right, decide to agree concerning a thing, right? So yes, our consciousness of our problems and a consistent conversation on all that is what is also producing these kinds of things. If Nigeria is going to change, I've always said Nigeria and Africa as a whole, our main problem is the way we think. If we really want to change this nation, we need to change the way we process and the way the majority, the collective processes internally, our mindsets. When that shifts, our energy shifts. When our energy shifts, the conditions of our nation will shift.
Thank you, Bankole. It's so good to have you. We shall definitely have you back before the year runs. I mean, we don't want to be doing this once in 2 years kind of thing. We want to have you at least maybe once a quarter or something. That's the Mind Man. Please follow him on social media. He has a lot of resources on meditation. Bankole is so good at what he does. Thank you very much, Bankole. God bless you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a good time.
Yeah. Okay. Ayo, over to you.
Bankole, thank you for